like to recognize all of our visitors, both here, in particular our friends from Tusky Valley that are joining us tonight, and our littles from our Early Learning Center and their families, and all of our visitors online as well. If you would like to stand with me.
The kids are coming.
That's awesome.
States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good job.
Thank you.
That was awesome, guys.
Sure. Mrs. Moore.
Here.
Mrs. Spindler.
Here.
Mr. Vincent.
Here.
Mr. Ziny.
Here.
Mrs. Engel.
Here, we have a quorum. We can continue. Public participation. Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Ziny.
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, we are ready for a fabulous presentation on the ELC.
Well, we're going to start with Old MacDonald. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm he had a dog, E-I-E-I-O. With a woof here and a woof there. Here woof, there woof, everywhere woof woof. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm he had a horse, E-I-E-I-O. With a neigh-neigh here and a neigh-neigh there. Here a neigh, there a neigh, everywhere a neigh-neigh. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm he had a cow, E-I-E-I-O. With a moo-moo here and a moo-moo there. Here moo, there moo, everywhere a moo-moo. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O. And on his farm he had a pig, E-I-E-I-O. With the oink oink here and an oink oink there. Here an oink, there an oink, everywhere an oink oink. Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
Hi, buddy. How are you?
We're ready. Touch them right down to your knees and everybody sneeze. Achoo! Move, move, move big lines, move them in the air. Move, move, move big lines, move them under your chair. Move your big lines to the front, move them to the back. Move your big lines to the side, now put them in your lap. Tap, tap, tap big lines, tap them at the top. Tap, tap, tap big lines, tap till I say stop. Tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop. Now, let's try it faster. Tap, tap, tap big lines, tap them at the top. Tap, tap, tap big lines, tap till I say stop. Tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop. Tap, 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 stop.
Two little words, two little words, two little words, not goodbye. It's the end of the year, graduation is here. Our two little words to our teachers, moms, dads, grandparents, and all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all you've done. You taught us to read and write. You taught us to learn. You told us it'd be alright and how to take our turn. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all you've done. You helped us to tie our shoes, learn shapes and colors too. There's so many things you do. We just wanna say thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all you've done. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. Thank you for all you've done.
Slideshow, please. Ellie, do you want to sit with mommy? You want to sit with me here? No, you're okay. She's pushing through it. She's pushing through it. She wants to go.
All right, it's been a big year at the ELC. We're really proud of all of these friends, and most of these friends sitting here in this line are coming back for another year. So they are little and they're doing awesome. So if you didn't know about our preschool program, we're really proud of the continuum of services that we can offer. There's your continuum on the bottom. This is our first year having a general education class that we have here at the ELC. ELC, so we were able to expand the student body that we serve. Our enrollment from last year went from 155 to 195 this year, so we're really excited about that. We couldn't do it without our peer models. So some students attend as students with special needs, and some students attend as typically developing peer models. And we really approach them and their families as this is a job. We need them to be good leaders, good examples in the classroom. They are really big helpers, and we're very proud of them. And you would have no idea who's who sitting here in front of you today, so we love them. Our staff is made up of 5 intervention specialists and 1 general education teacher. We have one of our speech pathologists here tonight. We also are blessed to have an occupational therapist on staff, physical therapy, American Sign Language teacher, and we also partner with a few outside agencies, including the Board of DD, and World of Wonderment is in our building for wraparound care. We've had some events this year. These are actual pictures. We've had Literacy Night, Cookies with Santa, Right to Read Week was just last week, our Friendship Dance, a hot, sweaty mess. Our end of the year celebration is coming up, so we're really looking forward to that. We have a new playground. The kids have been watching out the window, cannot wait until the day comes where we actually get to put our feet out there.
Yeah.
These are the drawings, of course, and here's what it looks like as of now. We are very, very close. They're finishing up the edging, making sure that it's safe for us all to be out there, and then fixing the fence, that kind of good stuff. We're really excited. There it is, Grayson, our new playground. We had some parents that were kind enough to share some words about what the ELC means to them and what about inclusive preschool means to them. Do I need to push more? You think it's...
Which one was that?
I think I see the mom in the audience wishing it wasn't paused on this view. She might be here. Here we go.
Hi there, my name is Ashley Grebe, mom to Ellie Grebe. Ellie is a sweet and sassy 4-year-old little girl with autism who is in her 2nd full year at the ELC. To Ellie, preschool means friends, learning, playtime, getting to ride the bus like her older brothers and sister. It also means having Miss Taylor turn her into a princess every morning on the way to school. As parents, preschool means early intervention, essential therapies, fostering a love of learning, creating friendships, acceptance, getting her the best possible preparation for kindergarten. Overall, a better quality of life for her that can open endless doors for her future. We are so thankful for the ELC and what it has done for Ellie, which also bleeds into our life as a family. Ellie has 1 more year in preschool, and we have no doubt that she will continue to blossom with her development with the amazing staff at the ELC. Hi there, my name is Ashley Grebe.
Do you want to dance it or you want me to? Yes.
All right, we go ahead and just get that one queued up.
When we were looking for a preschool for our daughter Quinn, we wanted a place for her to learn academic skills, of course, but mostly we wanted a place for her to have her first real-world experience in becoming a kind, empathetic, and respectful little human. In 1 short year at the ELC, she has become all of those things and so much more. Because she is around children of all personalities and abilities, she has learned to be caring and understanding and never fails to celebrate the successes of others. She better understands that everything doesn't come easy and she has to work to be her best. She is learning to be more responsible every day and learning how to stand up for herself and others. Quinn has blossomed into the sweetest little girl with a huge heart for all of her friends, and we can personally thank Mrs. McElwee and Miss Emily and the whole staff at the ELC for that.
I don't know if folks technical issues, we have one more.
Is that a cone?
It is a cone.
My name is Allison Fenner. I'm a parent of a child in the preschool program at the ELC. And as a parent of a child with a disability, there is a lot of fear in sending a child to school. He is so limited individually with what he can't do independently right now, and the list of what he can't do goes on and on and on. However, this has made preschool a real necessity for our son and for our family, and we really believe in what they are doing here at the ELC. This program is an inclusion program, which means that our son grows and learns alongside typically developing peers. This program is giving our son the opportunity to learn and experience belonging in a way that we fear he may not be afforded over and over again in his future life. It's really humbling to watch another child take our son's hand and guide him to move through the hallway with his class, or to see a classmate run up to him in the parking lot and excitedly greet him by name when our son has not yet learned how to consistently answer. They are without any more effort than just being themselves and going to school alongside him, giving him the gift of being accepted and how to trust. And when he trusts, he's able to truly learn. He's learning from their models in the classroom, following what they do and watching every move they make. And it's really amazing to watch our son's classmates, all of 3, 4, and 5 years old, really enjoy our son, really accept him for who he is, and truly meet him without any judgment right where he is, which is something that we don't take for granted. We have seen him in the community with other children so often who aren't quite sure how to approach him or aren't quite sure how to see an interaction through from start to finish. This has made the preschool program really special to us. These kids meet him without any judgment right where he is, and our son's being given an experience of school that we really cannot give him or replicate at home. The children have shown true kindness, patience, friendship, respect, and acceptance just by being themselves and showing up for their own learning every single day. To say that this program has been beneficial for our family is really an understatement. In this program, a space has been created where our son has the chance to be loved and cared for, and he can really learn just as he is by virtue of creating an inclusion program. This is life-changing for us, and then we know it's going to be even more life-changing for our son in the future. Thank you.
Okay, we've got one more speaker coming up, Mr. Zuber.
I'm here for a number of reasons tonight, but this is definitely the most significant. I'm here tonight to show support for the Early Learning Center and for all of the staff who work tirelessly to impact the lives of our youngest students. It might go without saying that an early introduction to literacy and numeracy provides a foundation for further academic pursuits, but in a recent study, the Washington Post highlighted that early learning programs are linked to an increase in high school graduation, an increase in college attendance, on-time attendance, and even to reduced depression and substance abuse rates in older students. It would not be an understatement to say that early childhood education can be tied to improved health and longevity for people, as well as the obvious reduction in the persistent educational gaps. Kids from all backgrounds cultural, religious, socioeconomic, and ability levels are learning valuable social skills that will set them up to become kinder and more welcoming human beings. I am proud of our district and its commitment to early childhood education. As a parent, I am grateful for the impact that it's having on my 4-year-old and his introduction to schooling. As a taxpayer and a resident of our community, I'm grateful for the long-term impacts that this invaluable program will have on our society. And as a teacher, I'm grateful for the foundation that is being laid at an early stage for future learners that may one day walk into my classroom. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you for coming. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thank you. Would our friends from the Tusky Valley School District, you could at least make your way to the podium. I said you could make your way to the podium and then.
Just maybe wait a minute.
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, well, good evening, everybody. My name is Derek Veransky, and I am the superintendent of the Tuscarawas Valley Local School District. Along with me is Jason Phillips, our middle high school principal, and Richard Gooding, the president of our school board. We also have Sally Green, a school board member and also representing the Ohio School Board Association tonight. On November 14th, 2023, our district had a crisis that's really unfathomable. And today, what we're doing is we started in Tuscarawas County, and we made our way all the way to Columbus, and then we're headed back now, but really what we're doing is thanking the entities and the organizations that made such an impact to our district and helped us through the November 14th tragedy and those dark days since. While we were at the Capitol Conference, we got a call that the bus was in an accident, and as we made our way to that crash scene, it wasn't long as we were working with our kids and trying to communicate back at home that all of a sudden I saw yellow school buses backing up to the site to take our kids away to safety. And when I looked at those buses, I saw on the side that it was Southwest looking local. And so, first of all, I just want to say thank you. And we don't know all of those details. Dr. Perkins shared a little bit about that with us today. I don't know who made all the calls and arranged that, but all I know is that your school district showed up and you were there for us, and you were that safety net for our kids, and you helped us get out of that terrible environment. As we made it to the Etna Church, and we were getting our kids settled and still trying to figure out exactly what happened and communicate back at home, I remember coming out of one of the small classrooms from being with our directors, and that's when I met Dr. Perkins for the first time, and she said who she was, and your assistant superintendent was there, and they just ran that room for us. And for those hours, our kids became your kids. And we felt it was important that though we can thank your school district in a video and in press releases, we wanted to come face to face and tell you in person just how much your district means to us, how much your superintendent and assistant superintendent mean to us, and the difference that you made. And so from the bottom of our hearts, we can't say thank you enough. I know that you've continued to check in on us. We know that you're there we can still call on you for support. And in today, getting to speak with your team a little bit, we just know the love that you have for kids, and that love and the goals of your district goes far beyond your boundaries. And so again, on behalf of our entire school district and our Board of Education, thank you so much. What we have tonight is just a small physical token of our appreciation, and I'll read it for everybody. It just says, with our deepest appreciation, Tuscarawas Valley Local Schools recognizes the Southwest Licking School District for their ongoing support and encouragement throughout the 23-24 school year. So I'll present that to you, and again, thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we get a picture?
Absolutely.
With your board?
Home board? You guys go ahead and go school board. She's more important. She's more important.
Mrs. Green, if you would like to.
Just for the record, my name is Sally Green. I am from Tuscarawas Valley Local School District, but I'm also the Ohio School Board Association 2024 OSBA President. And I'm here to speak to you today because I visited your schools. And so I'd like to just share with you some of the highlights that were provided for me. First of all, as a board member of 19 years, I know the job you do. I know one of you has many more years on me than that. So thank you very much for those 30 plus years. I appreciate it. And for the rest of you, I know the dedication and the commitment it takes and the hours it takes to provide quality education to your students. And as I traveled to school today, and all of your schools except two, I think, it is evident by the quality of teachers you have, by the gifts that you provide for the schools to provide quality schools for your students, and the visionary tactics that you have for the future and how to continue to grow and provide education for the future for your students and your community. This community should be so proud of you, and I hope I can make it through this because it's so emotional for me. You were there, as they said, for us that day as we got the news. And it was so important for that. You're caring about not just your students, but all students. And for Ohio School Board Association, I want to thank you because the board members across the state were affected that day, and they were so grateful for the assistance you provided to them. Now, it wouldn't be without saying, I do need to share some OSBA news for you. But before I get into that, I just want to say the highlights. And there were so many highlights, I can't name them all. But as I attended the school, the elementary and the high school and the middle school, all the wonderful things, from the forest, food forest, to the indoor gardening, to the bunnies, to the high school, caring and looking forward to the future. They saying, what are we doing this year that's a success, and what do we need to do, one thing that we need to do to improve next year? That is a sign of a true quality team. So I thank you for that. I want to give a special thank you to Tan for taking me around and giving me a wonderful tour and letting me speak to so many people and to the students. It was just a highlight for me. There's 3 dates I'd like to keep in mind for our board members and for the administration team. First off is April 23rd. That's the Student Leadership Conference. If you hadn't heard about it, it's next week. I still think there's some openings. In the morning, they talk about the legislature, invite people in to see what legislation is coming down the pike. Now, if you're not aware of it, most of them are on recess, getting ready now for the election. But following the election, it's going to be all steam ahead, and they're going to be putting in a lot of legislation very quickly. So we need to be prepared. So I really want to encourage you to come tomorrow or on the 23rd for that. And then if you can, make arrangements with your legislators. We are focusing really hard on accountability and transparency where the money's going in the state on voucher systems. So please, if you can attend, do that. May 3rd and 4th is one of the highlights for me. It is Board Leadership Institute. And it is for board members only, where they can network, have learning sessions, and great speakers that talk about how to provide quality education for our students. You're doing a great job, but networking is always a way to improve, so I appreciate that. And then finally, on June 27th, one of my initiatives as a president is to work on a day that's called the Future of Public Education. And we're inviting speakers and having roundtable discussions to see what is coming down the pike and how we can prepare for it. Because we do not want to be proactive. We want to be ready and ahead of the game. So this is an opportunity for your staff and for you to come and share your ideas and to listen to those things. Some of the things that we will be talking about is vouchers, artificial intelligence, and the teacher and work line retention pipeline for teachers. So those are 3 of the 5 that will be coming down. I thank you for this great opportunity. I am so happy to have been here today and to be able to see the wonderful successes that are in your school. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Glad you're able to come.
All right, a presentation from Wolpert.
I'll just tell you about those slides. Or is there a... Okay, I'm probably gonna mess that up. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Karen Jackson. My company, Wolpert, has been working with you for the past couple of years doing this work. We were previously Cooperative Strategies. We just went through an acquisition, so our name changed. But same group, same people working on the project. So I'm first gonna go over our demographics reports and then our proposed elementary boundaries for the new elementary school. So starting with our enrollment projections, we use the cohort survival method for our enrollment projections, which looks at cohorts or groups of students grade to grade, year to year. I don't know why it does that. We use 10 years of historical enrollment data by grade, which I'll get to in a little bit, as well as historical resident life birth counts, which we use to project kindergarten 5 years later. We also look at housing occurring in the, or housing developments within the district. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. As well as census data sets. So the map on the left shows your district compared to the zip code boundaries associated. So the biggest zip code within this district, goodness gracious, is 43062. Your district does extend into a couple other zip codes. It's just not very significant. If you look on the right, I know that's a big chart and not easy to see, but these are the number of births that have occurred each year by zip code. That is the smallest geography that the health department gives the data to us by. Those highlighted in blue are the zip codes that we use to inform the projections. The other ones that are not highlighted, I'm very sorry, you only have very small slivers of your district within them. And then at the bottom, that is just showing your historical births by year, so you can kind of see where we've been.
I apologize, I think there's some kind of time.
Yeah, I think it's in the PDF, I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna go ahead and try to full screen it like this, and I'll just go ahead and page 94.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, next slide.
Just say next page.
Next page.
You got it.
All right, so this graph, and it's kind of a monster chart. This shows our cohort survival method at work. So the percentages on this are showing the percentage of students that are retained year after year, grade after grade. So if you look at that bottom white row, the 22-23 to 23-24 school year, that is showing the percentage of students from last year that ended up in the district this year. Any percentage over 100% is going to show a growth in that class. Any percentage under 100% is going to show a decline in that class. And you can kind of get an idea of the historical enrollment as well. The colorful numbers or percentages at the bottom are just showing like statistical breakdowns. Oh, sorry, I can't use that. Next slide. So this is showing your historical enrollment over the past 10 years. The chart on the left is conditionally formatted, so your lower classes or lower class sizes are going to be in the darker blue. All of your larger class sizes are going to be in red, so you can really see those in the last couple of years. We do use the historical, or the October enrollment year after year. Our projections are from the same point in time each year to the same point in time each year. So we are projecting October enrollment to October enrollment. If you look at the chart on the right, you can see we have had pretty sustained enrollment growth over the last 10 years. Next slide. So our team develops 4 different projections: a low, moderate, high, and recommended. I'm just gonna focus on the recommended tonight. The low, moderate, and high are based on those survival ratios solely. The recommended does go a little bit further and looks at things like the census data and the housing developments that are occurring. So on this chart, we're showing the historical enrollment in red on the left, and then all 4 of our projections on the right. Next slide. And like I said, we're going to focus on the recommended projection. So on the left, we have the same chart just for the following 10 years. So you can still see we have a lot of red that is showing higher class sizes into the future. We are showing sustained growth for the district moving forward over the next 10 years. Next slide. Okay, so moving on to the housing study. Next one. Our housing study does have a different methodology. We use a student yield methodology rather than that cohort survival. So a student yield is, very simply put, just number of kids divided by number of houses. If you look on this, on my little example street, there's 10 homes there and 5 kids, so that would be a student yield of 0.5, or 1 student for every 2 homes. Next slide. So we look at this for all different housing types, all the housing types within the district, really. So the chart on the left is showing the student yields, or number of kids divided by number of units, for your apartments, condos, townhomes, that multifamily subtotal, which is just the aggregation of all 3 of those, your mobile home parks, and your subdivided single-family homes. In looking at that chart, you can see your subdivided single-family homes are yielding the highest number of students, or the highest percentage. We also have been doing this study for the last couple of years, so we have the yields historically as well. On the right, that map is showing all of your existing housing. The green sections are showing your single family, pink is showing your apartments, orange is condos, that like darker pink or almost purple is showing your mobile home parks and your townhomes. I think there's only 1 townhome complex is in blue. We do take this one step further. Rather than just looking at a static yield and applying that to developments, we have found that across the country there is really a pattern in, after a home is built, the yield associated with that home. So on the bottom left, we're showing that yield model, and this is showing in gray, your actual yield compared to age of home. And you can see as a home ages, we do see a really consistent pattern moving forward, of first increasing enrollment followed by decreasing, and then the enrollment kind of flattens out. So on that chart in gray, we're showing your actual recorded yield by age of home, K through 12 total. And then in the red, that is the yield model that we use to forecast enrollment forward, and that's based on a best fit line for that data set. Next slide. All right, so getting into the exciting stuff. On the left is a map of all of your housing developments, and it is pretty extensive. In comparison to the rest of Central Ohio, I think you're number 2 in the number of housing developments, followed behind Olentangy, which is a different story. They're just kind of a different animal. So looking at the map, anything in green is going to be a single family development, pink is going to be showing your apartment complexes, orange is condos, and then your townhomes are going to be in blue. We do have one section that is listed as unknown. We're not sure what's there. It's been listed on a couple different sites, but we're not totally sure what's coming there. We just know that it is up for development. Go to the next slide. So this is showing that same information just in a bigger chart. This is a listing of each of your developments, the housing type, the project status, whether it's under construction, it's been proposed, it's been approved, or there is one that has been recently denied. The approximate timeline associated with each one as of, I believe, last month, and these do change pretty regularly. We have the number of units at build out, so that's going to be the number of housing units once the subdivision is complete. The maximum enrollment is based on that yield model. For the multifamily homes, so those apartments and condos and townhomes, we apply a static yield to those. We typically don't see much fluctuation in multifamily yields year after year. Even when we add more units, that yield typically stays right around the same. So we leave those flat. We do put them into our model based on when they're expected to be occupied, but we do leave the yields flat on those. For the single family developments, the maximum enrollment on this chart is showing once all of those homes reach that maximum point in our yield model, which I believe is right around 1 student per unit, which is fairly high. The mature enrollment is once all of those units make it through our yield model and reach about year 35 and we're not seeing much fluctuation in yield, what we're going to expect. Like for example, like a Beechwood Trails, they're a mature subdivision. We don't see much fluctuation year after year from them. Next slide. All right, so we do take this one step further and look at a full build-out study. So what would your district look like if every tract of land that could be developed is developed? This is many years into the future, if it even occurs at all. It is a hypothetical situation. So on the left, we have your existing land use, which is used to inform that vacant developable land that could be developed. We do look at sewer infrastructure with this. Sewer infrastructure is oftentimes a good indicator of housing development or future housing development. Developers don't oftentimes like to spend all that money to get the infrastructure. They like it when it's already there for them. So anything in red on that map is showing tracts of land that are already adjacent to that infrastructure, and the Southwest Licking Water District is expanding. Anything in blue are tracts of land that could be developed, but they are not currently next to any infrastructure. Next slide. So like I said before, we do put all of your single family homes into our yield model based on where they currently live. So a home that's 10 years old would start the yield model at 10 years old in this. From your existing single family home, we are seeing a decline in enrollment. That is what exists today, not including your developments, which I will get to. Right above that, so that's the bottom green section, that is your enrollment from your existing single family. Above that is the enrollment from your non-subdivided or like your rural residential areas. The vast majority of those units are already beyond the yield model, so they're expected to remain fairly flat. The pinks and purples above that are showing your existing multifamily homes, apartments, condos, and townhomes. There is a very slim line in there that shows your townhomes. You probably can't see it though. I think there's only like 30 students in that. And right above that is where things kind of get interesting. So, as I said, the existing subdivided single family homes are decreasing. But you have all of these developments that are completely offsetting that decrease. So we are not expecting you to be declining anytime soon. So that light green section is your enrollment that we're forecasting for your single family developments that have been proposed and approved and are already under construction. That pink line right above that is showing your enrollment from your developing multifamily areas, so your apartments, condos, and townhomes that are being constructed. The first blue line, or the first blue section, is showing that hypothetical. So let's say after today, nothing else is proposed and approved, but all of the developments that currently are on the docket build out. We can just ignore those top sections. Should you continue to have developments approved, which I would imagine will likely be the case, then we can start looking beyond that. So that dark blue section is showing your enrollment from the higher potential vacant land, that land that is already adjacent to sewer infrastructure. The land, some of it is already developer owned as well. And then above that is a little bit more hypothetical. That is that other vacant developable land that isn't currently adjacent to infrastructure. So a little bit less desirable for developers. So looking at this as well as our enrollment projections, we are forecasting growth. Next slide. All right, so this is the exciting part of my presentation. You have a very exciting new building getting built. I drove by it on the way here and it's looking great. I'm really excited about it. But with that, it is a larger building and it does not, the current boundaries, it's actually outside of its current boundary. It would fall within Aetna's boundary. So we need to make some adjustments. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So this is showing your current boundaries. This does look a little bit different than what you've seen before. I followed the boundary maps that exist on your website cut through some parcels. I did not cut through any parcels, so that's why it kind of looks weird around like the Creek Road area. The chart on the right is showing your current live-in enrollment. So all of our numbers tonight are going to be based on those who live within the boundaries, not necessarily any transfers or anything like that. These are residents. So your current enrollment, we're showing your live-in utilizations compared to your current capacities. Again, the new Pataskala South Fork Elementary is going to be larger than the current elementary, so we are seeing Pataskala Elementary pretty highly utilized. If nothing were to change and we let all of our developments build out, poor Etna would be at over 130% utilized. So all of that to say, it's excellent that you're building a new school. It is going exactly where it needs to go and at the right time. Looking at our other 2 elementary schools, like I said, if nothing changes, we would be overutilized at those schools as well, just not as highly overutilized as Etna. Next slide. So the map on the left here shows our proposed boundaries, and I do have a slide for each of our areas of change, so I'll kind of go over those individually. With our proposed boundaries, we will be doing great in the short term for our live-in utilizations. Very well balanced. We have room for growth in all of our boundaries. Looking at our development estimates, once we add in the students that we're expecting from the existing developments, we are seeing pretty high utilizations into the future. This is probably more than 15 years out. So just keep that in mind. That is assuming all of the developments that are currently on the docket get built out, which could take quite a while. Some highlights about this: it does establish Refugee Road as a boundary between Etna and Pataskala South Fork on the west side of the district. It moves the area immediately surrounding the new elementary into the new school, so we're increasing walkability there. It pushes Pataskala South Fork further south to incorporate more development that are currently slated for Etna, so Etna's not utilized at 130%. And every area that we moved is moving into the new school, which is a huge positive. There were no dominoes associated with this. We were able to get every person that's moving would be moving into the new building, which is exciting. If this were to happen tomorrow, we would be moving 91 K through second graders. So the extent of this is not overly drastic. Go to the next slide. So the map on the left is just showing your current boundaries overlaid by the areas of change. So those hashed areas are each of the sections that are changing, and then you can see on the right, these are our new boundaries. Next slide. So I am going to go through each of these individually. This is the area north of Refugee Road, right around Columbia Road, that is currently slated for Etna Elementary. This is kind of where we established that Refugee Road line. This change in particular does not have an impact on students, but it makes a nice clean boundary line along Refugee Road, which is always beneficial. Next slide. So this is the northern section. This is the area pretty much due north of the new elementary school. This is north of Refugee Road, along Smoke Road and Creek Road, so it pretty much goes over the creek. They're currently assigned to Etna. This would also be moved to Pataskala South Fork. There's no subdivisions or anything impacted in this one, just some more country lots. Next slide. This is the area immediately surrounding the new school. Currently going to Etna, they would be moving to Pataskala South Fork. On the bottom, we have the subdivisions and complexes that are moving with this. On that list, you're gonna see 2 subdivisions that are in red. These are both developments. So we're not impacting any kids with those last 2. They are developments, but we are moving them preemptively, understanding that we're gonna get probably quite a few kids from them. Next slide. All right, and then this is the only area we're moving from Kirkersville into the new school. This kind of gives us a nice line along Watkins Road, so all the homes fronting Watkins Road south of, I believe that's Blacks Road, would go to the new school. The subdivisions impacting this one are Overlook Estates and let's see, Roseland subdivision. But like I said, it is that area immediately surrounding Watkins Road. So all of Watkins Road south of Blacks would go to the new school. Next slide. So it's kind of hard to tell where you live on these maps. So what we have done is put together a school locator. You can go ahead and try it if you want. This will allow you to type in your address and it'll spit out exactly where you're assigned in the proposed boundaries, as well as the current boundaries if anybody doesn't know. The locator tool it does work a little bit better on a computer, but you can certainly use it on your phone. It'll also allow you to go through and see exactly where the lines are drawn, both currently and in the future, so that you can take a closer look. All of our lines, if you see any jagged edges, all of our lines are based on parcels. So we certainly don't want anybody to be confused because the lines are drawn partially through their parcel. So that's kind of why it looks a little bit funny there. Are there any questions about really the demographics or the proposed boundaries?
And I just tried the locator. That's an amazing tool.
It is.
So, yeah.
We get a lot of great feedback from communities about that. It's a lot easier to tell than the paper maps.
Yeah, absolutely.
How long did it take you and your team to come up with this plan?
I think we had 3 different work sessions. We were pretty, let's see, we came up with a couple different options, but it really ended up landing on this one because it best incorporated the developments as well as moved everybody into the new school, which is a huge positive. I do these processes in a lot of communities where that cannot be the case, and moving everybody into a new building is a huge plus.
What about behind the scenes, like not working with myself, like you guys behind the scenes? What kind of time goes into this? I think that's what you're asking, right, Tom?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not just us, yeah, like behind the scenes, all the work you guys do.
Oh, yeah, so we, the first thing we do, of course, is analyze the data, which takes probably, I don't know, a week in total. We look at your current boundaries. We have to put all of your students onto the map, which takes quite a bit. I mean, this is a couple months of work involved in this. We tried to make sure that we left no stone unturned with this, and this really came out to be the best option for this district and the community.
And you said at the end of the day, it only truly impacts 91 current students. Is that what I heard?
If the change were to be made today, I mean, that number's going to change
Right.
year by year, but if it were made today, it would be 91 students.
Okay.
Yeah, K through 2.
Nice.
Thank you.
Any questions? And this will go out almost immediately.
We're gonna wait a little bit the next couple months in the summer just to triple check,
Make sure,
and then
okay.
we'll roll it in the fall, so everybody will have a year's worth of planning purposes.
Years. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
Just
in
to-
the fall, we'll put the
Yeah.
new student data set on
Yep.
the map, make sure we are still tracking, make sure there aren't any brand new developments. Like
Mm-hmm.
if Purvisville gets a giant development, we may want to make some changes. Something I spoke to Dr. Perkins about is the good news with this option is we do have 2 developments within Kirkersville's boundary that are right on the edge. So should we need to pivot, I think it's York Farms and I forget the other one's name. But should we need to
Buckhorn.
incorporate more into the new elementary school, we can add those in there without impacting any students, which is always good.
Yeah.
It's great.
Sound good? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And I will say that we are going on with the rest of the board meeting, but I know that some people have a long drive, probably home, and you're more than welcome to leave at your pleasure. Let's see, we need approval of minutes for March 21st board meeting, please.
Motion approval. Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, and report from the treasurer, and need a motion to approve, and then we can discuss.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Jones?
Included in the packet is the executive summary for March 31st. We did receive our final property tax settlement, so even though it showed we got $2 million less than we projected, we got that $2 million last month. So overall, we were in about $802,000 higher than we anticipated in property tax revenue, which is a good thing. Everything else is right on track. Expenditures are right where we want to be, so our revenue is 2% within what we projected, and then expenditures are minus 1%, which is all good things. So we're running very well.
That's good. Any questions for Mr. Jones?
None this time.
Call the roll.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. We need a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment, and for employment of public employees.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny, Yes. Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. We are in executive session at 6:57 PM.
MCA, get on the mic. No, nobody?
All right, we are back in open session at 7:32. Mr. Jones, call the roll, please.
Mrs. Moore,
Here.
Mrs. Spindler,
Here.
Mr. Vincent,
Here.
Mr. Ziny,
Here.
Mrs. Engel.
Here. We have a quorum and can continue. I need a motion to approve 6A through P, any or all of them.
Motion to approve 6A through P. Second.
Okay, I did want to just mention briefly, we have 22 new hires on this board agenda. Some exciting things about that. We have Teresa Rufo, who's actually in the audience. She's going to be joining our Pataskala team. She wanted to be here tonight, so I wanted to acknowledge her and thank her for being here. We also have 5 Watkins grads coming back to teach here, and we have 3 additional community members. So quite a few people that are coming back. So other than that, everything's fairly routine.
All right.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, we need a motion to approve 7A through C. I'm actually going to move that and note on particularly 7B that we are thrilled to have Xavier grad and Mrs. Spindler's daughter, Jamie Spindler, joining us.
And a Watkins grad.
And a Watkins grad.
And there's Watkins
That's right.
grads.
You need
Oh, second. Sorry.
All right. Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Happily abstain.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny.
Yes.
All right, that one passes. All right, we need a motion to approve 8A through B.
Motion approval 8A and B.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Abstain? All right, we have 9A through I. I think we'll probably take some of the, do you want motions for those?
I is a discussion, so
Okay.
Let's do the agreement separate.
Okay, so how about a motion to approve 9A?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I believe, right, Paula? Dr. Ball, we're happily in agreement. We have an agreement? Okay, so that's our new contract with the Teachers Association.
We appreciate everyone who worked on both of those teams very, very much.
I would agree. Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, how about 9B? A negotiated agreement with Teamsters. We
So
need a
moved.
motion.
Second.
So this is also our new agreements. I don't think anyone is here tonight from Teamsters, but we definitely also appreciated their work.
Absolutely.
And the collaboration with that team. So happy to have that on here tonight.
This is both of our unit members here, transportation and third unit. So,
Perfect.
Wonderful. Great.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, and 9C, motion to approve memorandum of understanding with the Teamsters local 413.
Motion approval. Second.
Do you want to speak to that, Rick?
Yeah, this one is in the Teamsters transportation unit. We have a minimum number of hours for a unit member to get insurance, except for in transportation unit, dispatchers was 27 and a half, but everybody else was 28. We had one bus driver out of the whole unit that didn't qualify because they had 27 and a half hours. They were just half an hour short a week. So as part of the negotiation, we agreed to make the change in the contract to back it down to 27 and a half hours for both units. But they're asking us to start earlier so that the person can get insurance starting May 1st instead of waiting until July 1st when the contract goes into effect.
All right, any questions? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
sorry, Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right, how about a motion to approve an amendment, and then we'll have discussion of the calendar. So 9D, please.
I motion for discussion.
Second.
Okay, so coming around is an updated school calendar for next year with a few amendments. A couple things I wanted to point out. We added in the moving days for Kirkersville teachers, which will obviously be in August. That building is set to be done in June with the punch in July. So they'll start 3 days later than our other students. And then also at May, we added our Pataskala students will end their year a couple of days earlier, so the Pataskala teachers can move into Pataskala South Fork, which will be done in March, punch by April, so they can start moving slowly if they want on their own, but they'll have some designated days as well. In the new negotiated agreement with the teachers union, we have a student-oriented success day, K through 12. You'll find that on October 25th. So previously, that day was for K through 5 only, and they did all-day conferences. So this will be a new day for our entire district staff. We'll have an opportunity to do MTSS meetings, RTI meetings, IEP, 504s, parent-teacher conferences, all sorts of things. So we thought that was a great option for our staff and our families. And then lastly, one of the items that SLE brought to me was having a week off at Thanksgiving. So I asked for a proposal for where those additional days would come. So the previous calendar the board voted on had a extended weekend in October and one in April. So I removed the October day and the April day and added in those 2 days in the beginning of November. This came from, and I'm going to share some data here in a second, but from a concern of students, more students than normal missing the first 2 days going on vacations. I also asked Dr. Ball if she could share with me the survey results she passed out so you could have those. So I'm going to pass this around. So this is the survey question that was sent to the membership that asked about, well, you can see the question, but having that Monday and Tuesday off and their thoughts, and you can see the different choices. And then I'm going to pass around, this is just blown up so you can see of the people that participated. They had 165 responses. We have 282 current teachers to give you an idea. And so you have 76% or 126 voted yes for that, and then additional 26 teachers voted it was a high priority for them after salary, class size, all the normal stuff that is usually important in contracts. So that is also included on this calendar amendment. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are there questions or discussion on that? Hold on a second. Okay. Do we have attendance data for those 2 days?
I do not. I believe at one point you had that, did you not? You probably don't have it handy, the attendance data for those 2 days. Because I think the attendance data.
You sent it to us, I don't remember the numbers, it was maybe 20-some%, and versus the second day of the first.
Okay.
But
I don't recall directly.
20% absent? Okay. I mean, I know this is a long shot and you probably don't have this information either, but how many subs do you think we have those 2 days?
I'm not sure. I mean, I could find out, but I don't know offhand, to be
Okay.
honest.
I'm going to make a motion. Can we table the Thanksgiving discussion until we get the updated information of attendance and subs?
So this is to add an amendment to the motion, right?
Correct.
The motion to table is just,
Motion to table the Thanksgiving discussion until we get the information.
just as Thanksgiving
Yeah.
portion of the calendar only.
Correct. So we actually want to, maybe a motion to approve the calendar without that portion until we can get it updated?
I can also just bring it back next month. It's not that serious. None of that stuff is going to impact anything today.
Okay.
So I can just, if you want to just take it
off.
off, I can get you, are you looking for like a 3-year data trend or what information would you like? I just want to make sure I have it for you.
Three would be fine. Yeah.
That's okay. I'll put it all together at once. That way they have it all, but thank you.
Yeah.
Unless you want that right now, but if you want it all.
No, all of
just
it
keep clean.
together
Okay.
next month, and then so want a motion to just table the.
School calendar.
So Deb has a motion, you want to change Well, your motion? yeah, I to can change table my the whole motion. school I'll change it, calendar? yeah. Yes.
Okay, and do we have a second for that?
We do not have a second.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore?
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler?
Yes.
Mr. Vincent?
Yes.
Mr. Ziny?
Yes.
Mrs. Engel?
Yes. All right, so that is tabled. How about, so let's see. Motion to, for our first reading, maybe we could do E, F, we could do the rest. How about E through H, please?
Motion approval E through H.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on any of those?
The first one is, first reading on vacation is to make it match what we agreed to as part of the negotiated agreement with the Teamsters. For anybody who's non-bargaining unit members.
And then the second is the readings assessment that we
Yeah,
did.
second
We
reading.
have to follow on that, yep.
And third is the volunteer insurance. Again, it's no cost to the board. Parents can elect to take it or not. And then H is the basically Lincoln County ESC, Lincoln Regional ESC now. It's our service contract with them. You know, we just start the contract, then we decide what services we want. But this is just the overall contract that we approve every year. Just that we're going to do that with them.
Sounds good, all right. Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. And then, let's see, we've got a line item on here that's a discussion regarding the board members purchasing a brick for the Eco Summit Warriors.
I'll motion to open the discussion.
Yeah, I don't.
Do we have to
we
motion?
don't
No,
have to
we
do
don't
that
motion to
necessarily.
open
We can just talk
discussion,
about
yeah,
it, so I think that.
I put this on here
Yes.
because I noticed that the time to buy or donate to the Eco Summit for a brick or plaque that looks like a brick is that has opened now, and I think the last day is like May something, 5th, 8th, something early in May. So I know we had talked when they presented about possibly going together as a board to donate and do a brick. So I wanted to open up that discussion to see if that's something we still want to do as a board.
Directly impacts our students and encourages them to do what they're doing. I think it's a great idea.
Yep, I do too.
What is it? There's a minimum, is it $100 in
So-
order to do a brick?
Paula's
Is that
here.
correct?
She might be able to know. Do you remember Paula?
Well, yeah,
Summit
she
stuff?
could probably tell us, but it's right here on the
It's on the
buy
GoFundMe
tickets.
or whatever, yeah.
It's depending on how your donation is, how many characters you get.
Oh, okay.
And whether you get art with it or not. I know when I'm looking into one personally for my family, I needed to get one that had like 90 characters. And that was the $150 range. I imagine we would probably need more than that because I'm just putting like our first names on it. So let me look it up real quick. Here it is. So they range in donation levels from $50 to $1,000, but the middle, like $250, gets us. Where is it? 250 is a 12 by 12 with 160 characters and art. And then above that, it goes up in characters by, it goes from, the next tier is $500 for a lot of characters. More than I think we would ever need, 640 characters.
So we could go to get $50 from each of us would give a $250
Yeah.
brick that could say Southwest Looking School Board and have something or
Yeah.
something along those lines.
Yeah, we could do like 2024, 2025 school.
Yeah.
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 BOE.
I mean, I could type it up and do a quick character count and just make sure, but I think we would be fine with the tier 4 to 250 to 4. We could donate more. The minimum donation is $250 for the brick that we would likely need to have all the characters we wanted. So
sounds good.
Yep. Cool.
Is everybody good with that?
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Motion to approve 10A with our thanks.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler,
Yes.
Mr. Ziny,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes. All right. And request to speak, Teamsters? I don't think anybody's here.
Oh, you missed. Oh, it's, Mr. Ford.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. Mr. Ford, 11, request to speak on non-agenda items. Mr. Ford. Sorry, I skipped.
Good evening, my name is Corey Ford, and for full disclosure with the camera here, I am also the Assistant Director of the National School Board Leadership Council, and I'm declining this evening to announce my address. Casey Perkins officially ascended to the position of superintendent in January of 2020. 4 months later, Lisa Morelli's resignation was accepted by our superintendent in April of 2020, effective July, and announced that evening at the board meeting. After a grueling 30-day search, the most qualified candidate was hired, Mr. Perkins, the superintendent's husband. During the May 2020 board meeting, Mr. Jones had to recommend him for employment, specifically because the superintendent could not. He promised he would escalate any conflicts of interest if he felt he needed to the board. Was this really the best interest of the students, and was it a responsible choice? Ohio Revised Code 3319.07, exercised that evening, allows the treasurer to appoint a teacher in such an event. To date, Ohio public records show Mr. Perkins holds no valid teaching license. Whoops. It gets worse. Why did you award him a 2-year contract when ORC 3319.081 and policy Golf Delta Bravo Bravo only authorizes a 1-year contract? Does the board disregard these requirements for other staff or just this one? Why is he special? When Mr. Perkins received the only performance evaluation I found in this file, why did the line of supervisors lead directly to his wife and not the treasurer's office? Is this why Mr. Perkins was offered a 3-year contract in May of 2022 instead of a 1-year contract? Again, despite policy, but at the behest of Mr. Jones. Was Mr. Jones doing his due diligence? When the board offered to pay roughly a $10,000 annual bonus to Mr. Perkins, was the board aware that the pupil activity permit was expiring in 2 weeks? Pupil activity permits are required, according to the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, for individuals who direct student activity program that involves athletics. Policy requires the superintendent to identify these individuals. Okay. There are a lot of people here. Does the board pay annual $10,000 bonuses to all of the staff? Do you think the community receives $10,000 bonuses on an annual basis from their employers? Why was the organizational chart policy CCA rescinded without replacement in September of 2020? 2, why does board policy CCB still active still refer to it? Why haven't you asked the superintendent to comply with this policy and provide one in the last year and a half? How is the community served by not allowing them to see who works for who? Do you see where I'm going with this? What happens to a teacher, we have them here, when they allow their license to lapse or expire? Do they get contract renewals decorated with fresh giveaways of $10,000 bonuses? In summary, why did our athletic director get contracted for over $90,000 annually on average, with ever more increasing benefits, longer terms, questionable oversight, a concealed chain of command, all while he has allowed his permit to lapse without renewal and to date, no sign of having it fixed? Just because it isn't illegal doesn't mean it isn't unethical. I'm not an attorney, but I'm not convinced that some of this isn't illegal. I'm asking the athletic director and the superintendent to resign without severance. I am asking for the policy stating that the treasurer can no longer make recommendations for employment for obvious reasons. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have so many things to say. We've sat here this evening and watched how wonderful this district is, how amazing. We watched our little ones, and I will tell you, I accepted an athletic director's resignation, which I will not even talk about that athletic director. I've also watched many other athletic directors prior to that, and I will not discuss those people. However, we are blessed and grateful for the leadership of Dr. Perkins as our superintendent, as well as the phenomenal ability of Mr. Perkins as our athletic director. And I take great offense at many of the things that were just said. As the first note, as our athletic director, Mr. Perkins, no, this is not a back and forth. Mr. Perkins is not required to have it.
Point of privilege. You're
No.
addressing things I said. Do you have any questions?
You can
We
sit
have
down.
no
Thank
questions
you.
for you.
Yeah, I bet you don't.
Mr. Perkins does not require a teacher's license. In fact, he has a sports management degree, but I'm not going to go on. I will just leave it at that. The fact that anyone can stand up and say anything, whether or not it's true, we'll just leave it there.
Which it is not true. Mr. Perkins did not receive any kind of $10,000 bonus. Did not.
Ridiculous.
Mr. Perkins has proven himself as a leader, as has Dr. Perkins, and I will always stand by my vote to vote for the best candidate. Absolutely. And I don't care what the relationship is, whether it's wife, husband, partner, mother, son, mother, daughter. And I applaud this board who has the intellectual fortitude to always pick the best candidate. And I will defend our employees, especially those that have dedicated their lives to Southwest Licking, period. And if you don't like my vote, I'll see you in 3.5 years.
And I would add that the community, before we brought Mr. Perkins on, there was a huge community group that
Hired
did
committee.
the interviewing.
Two community groups hired him.
So
recommended him.
It wasn't just a board picking. truly reached into the community.
And just as a separate note, I think it would be very short-sighted of us to not take a candidate just because of a relationship with someone else in the district, i.e. a teacher, a occupational therapist, a athletic director, a secretary, a bus driver. We want our graduates, we want our family members, we want our community, because that is what Southwest Ticking is. And Mrs. Ball, it is now your turn. Dr. Ball, I'm so sorry. It's Dr. Ball.
Wow, it's been an emotional night. In trying to think of what to say, I don't even know that I have words. I do want to recognize Dr. Perkins and obviously the session, the board, and the team. That we got this agreement. I wish you could have all been in the room tonight. I think they say words are worth more. Pictures are worth more than words, so I thought I would show you a few pictures.
Oh, those kids are great. We need our littles to be singing along.
We need what?
Our littles to sing along.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate all of you
Yes.
immensely, and the rest of your team as well.
Okay.
Dr. Perkins.
Okay. So I had planned to say it during my superintendent portion. I guess I could have said it earlier as well, but not to continue to reiterate or rehash what we're talking about. But I really do want to thank everybody on the team that helped make this contract happen, both from the teachers and the admins. There was a lot of long hours put in by everybody. And it was getting a little taxing there at the end, but I feel like everybody persevered for a really great contract that I think will continue to not only retain but also to attract teachers to this district. We were really excited. They don't know yet; they'll know tomorrow. But we were really excited in thinking about this being voted on and sharing tomorrow the new pay scale with those hires. So that's a really great opportunity, and it definitely was a collaborative effort. Although not perfect, it was definitely a collaborative effort. So I do want to thank them. I wish Scott DeArmond was here tonight and members from his team for the classified. I did talk to Scott yesterday about an unrelated issue, but just once again reiterated to him my appreciation working with him. Have always valued that relationship with Scott. He's a huge advocate of the school district and working with us as a team. So appreciate that relationship and working with the classified staff as well. So did want to share that. And then a bunch of really awesome positive things. Coming up, I'm just going to pass 2 flyers around to you, just take one of each, is the Empty Bowls and the Arts Festival. So we're hoping we brought back this year the students making the bowls, which I think is how it should be and super exciting. Not that people didn't like teachers making bowls, but I mean, the kids is better. So I wanted you to have these dates, so hopefully you can join us for the Empty Bowls. TAN has coordinated with CTEC, and their culinary students are going to be making the soup.
Really?
So
That's great. That's
yeah, that
was. I love it.
That was his idea, so I have to give him credit for that. So if you can, please join us for that evening, for that event. And then I also gave you the whole arts schedule of when the festival is, when every all our different music is going on, cabaret, orchestra, the elementaries, so much really amazing stuff that if you can come to any of it, some of it, all of it, I'm sure you would be excited to see our kids. So wanted to share those things. Let's see, my notes here. And then I guess, can you pull that up for me? So I'm gonna pass out the compass. You'll notice something familiar. So this is, I continue to each month try to update everybody. We have to get this information in the community's hands. So appreciate all the work of Woolpert, previously known as Cooperative Strategies. This is what stood out for me when we had our most recent meeting, is where are these housing development going? And I know I highlight one each month, but this is a nice opportunity for them to see all of it. It is a tiny map, but at least they can get a pulse for where everything is going by number if they can see it well enough, because it is tiny. So I thought, this is one thing that really stood out to me when I worked with them most recently. So wanted to get that in the community hands. If you've seen the sign for Hazelton Crossing, the sign's out there, coming soon. So wanted to share that upcoming subdivision. It was like Karen said tonight, if you think growth is not coming, it is. It's happening. It's continuing to come. These are the facts. So that subdivision, as seen on Route 310 in Refugee with 153 new homes, I included just phase 1 below to show you what's coming first. And then lastly, I know this doesn't show the playground yet, but I did want to share, this is something we haven't done. The idea came up at Kirkersville for a new playground for this sidewalk. So it's going to allow students access to the soft surface playground from all areas. So super awesome for all kids. The colorful design, I think that's been put out on a couple different pages, was chosen by a teacher team and admins. And we're looking really forward to seeing our kids there. They'll be able to play as early as probably beginning of August, a little bit before school starts. So I think the kids will be excited to see it, but I wanted to share this because I think this is going to be great for all students. On a side note, with the Kirkersville Playground, if you haven't heard, the time capsule was found.
Oh, good.
We were going to do something next Wednesday, but we have changed our mind with that. We're actually going to include it. I'm working with a couple individuals who put items who were students then. So one of them is actually building a case for the time capsule, and we're going to do an unveiling when we do an open house or a welcoming at the new building. So
yes, I love it. That's really cool.
Yeah, so we're going to bring that out and highlight that. So that will be, super exciting as well. And I think, go ahead, Kathy.
Question, with the ELC, when they were talking about their playground and it was almost being ready, will they be able to play on it before the end of this school year?
The ELC, we're hoping. I don't know, did Mackenzie leave? She left. Close?
Close?
Close? Close.
Like field day, maybe? I'm hopeful. They're so excited.
Yeah, they're so cute. They're really, well, they've got a lot of work done in the last week or so, though, last couple of weeks. So I think we're moving in the right direction. So, yeah. Anyways, any questions for me?
This just seems like there's more names on it than.
Yeah, there's a couple of new ones.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, a couple of new ones I didn't have before. So maybe a couple won't happen. I don't know. We'll just. You what?
Nope.
Definitely won't happen, or won't be look different. 99%. Well, I like it. You let me know if you get word. We'll take it off.
On the thing is.
That was denied, correct? Okay.
Well, that's good. Okay, so you can take that down, Jeff, if you want. Thank you. And that's all I have tonight.
All right. Does anyone else have anything else this evening? No. All right, motion to adjourn, please.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Jones.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mr. Ziny.
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes, we are adjourned at 8:05.